This video is a continuation of a previous video where we were diagnosing a power problem with an Apple IIc computer. In that video we determined that this power conversion board was bad and not producing any power output. And so what I did was built my own test board using some more modern components to take the 15 volt input and convert it to 5 volt and 12 volt outputs. So now what I want to do is make something a little more permanent. I decided I'm going to actually use these same components and just clean it up a little bit. So the previous board I used was just a common perf board that used for developing and testing. So this was just a prototype setup. The only problem with using a board like this is none of the traces connect. So what you have to do is take a small piece of wire and actually put it between whatever holes you want to connect and then solder that in place. So what I'm going to do now is actually use a standoff board that actually has traces. So each of these already connects to these holes. So we'll just take this out, solder these connections into the wiring, and be able to use that board. The other thing I'm probably going to go ahead and do is maybe 3D print something in there to hold these in place a little better, so that we'll be able to clean this up and get it looking nice and it won't rattle around or anything. So the next step, I'm going to take this out and measure it up and print a little prototype stand in there. Okay, so here's what I 3D printed. So what this will do is just set in place of the original board like so. So I have this set up with pockets for each of the components, and then I even have a slot on one end that I'll put the card in so that it'll sit in there and hold everything in place. So one thing I did with the card is I cut it along a white line that was back here so that I've got just the section of the board that I need. The rest of that isn't of any use. It'll just take up extra room. So the first thing you might want to do then, if you're gonna copy this, is go ahead and cut that board, and then the traces on the bottom here match up with this first row of holes. The traces on the top will match up with the back row, which I won't use. This whole top side and that plug is all ground, so you don't need to use that. So I'm going to go ahead and set the components into this, get everything wired up nice. One other thing I will mention that I noticed, so some of these components have like 16 gauge wire, and that wiring is too big to fit into the sockets on the board. So what I'll do in that case is take the 16 gauge wire and combine it into two 20 gauge wires. Should be able to handle the same current. And this is a much higher current rating than I need anyway, so what I'll do there should be plenty for what this computer needs. Okay, so here's the finished product. I've got everything put on the 3D printed part. Nice thing is it fit really nice and tight, so everything's going to stay in place. Got the wiring tied up, connected to the cut-off piece of the circuit board, and as you can see, it looks very similar to the size and shape of the original board. So I'll go ahead and put this in. So got that in place, popped right in. Everything's already hooked up for you to see this work. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the switch. And as you can see, the computer started right up. So there you have it. If you're in a pinch and you need to replace that board, I don't know how often these older boards fail, but if you've got one that's not working and you can't find a replacement, there is a another choice, you can do something like what I've done. I'll go ahead and post this, the 3D printed part on probably Thingiverse, and I'll give you the Amazon numbers I use to buy these other parts that fit in it, if you need to track those down, or you can, you know, find your own. But thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. Be sure to give me a like. Have a good day.